Welcome.
To another edition of All or Not According to Jack with your host, Jack Toledano. And in the co captain's chair, I have not one guest like I had last night. I have three guests. I have John Clauser, John the Music Nut. Last but not least, I have Davey Cretin, my buddy who used to work at Titus Oaks and is wearing the Mets cap, Met faithful. I'm wearing my '86 World Series ring. So, and they're leading 8-4. Let's go Mets. How you guys doing?
Doing great,
Doing
Jack.
good.
I'll
Thanks
go
for having
around
me
the room. So you start, John Music Nut. You go first. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Is this is what the first time you've been on mine or the second?
First,
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. Uh, and John Clauser, how you doing?
Brother, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. It's the first day of October. As we're recording this, I had to pay homage by digging up an old Kiss concert that I saw on this day 32 years ago in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So
Oh,
there you go. So
well, nice. It's nice that it falls at the first day of the month because I still remember seeing Kiss and Judas Priest on September 1st in '79. So yeah, so I had a 45th anniversary episode about that, and we'll talk about the series that I'm doing. But in the meantime, Mr. Let's Go Mets, Davey, how you doing?
Muchas gracias for having me back, Senor Jack.
What's going on? You enjoying this playoff run?
Yes, fingers crossed that the Mets do well.
Oh, it was so cool. Of course, I'm actually watching the game and I'm working, and my my boss actually started a chat. It was the coolest thing with about five of us diehards in the office, and we basically stopped working and watching the game and hanging on every pitch. It was the coolest thing, and they pulled it out in our house of horrors. So, but enough about baseball. So tonight, um, we are going to talk about this series, which we've talked about recently a lot. This book that I bought at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, Concerts Remembered, a concert journal. But on this night, we're not going to go very far back into the time machine. We're literally going to go back. Well, I'm going to go back. What's it like 17, 18 days to September 13th, and John, and Davey saw the show in what was it, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania?
yes.
yep.
Exactly 1 week later, the Friday night after.
Yep.
Davey just happened to be there on vacation. You want to tell us about that, Dave?
I went on my first vacation in about 6 or 7 years to Pennsylvania. I knew that John lived there, John the Music Nut, I should say, in the Accept shirt. And I said, "Are there any cool shows?" He said, "I'm going to see Accept and KK's Priest." And I said, "Oh, I'll meet you there." And he said, "John is coming up from where he lives." So all three of us met. I met the two Johns in person. It was awesome. Just like when you and I went to that Mets game a few months back, Jack.
Yep. Yeah, that was very cool. I actually sat in Davey's living room for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Cool.
that's cool.
but no, that's really. I have to admit, I was a little jealous. I wish I could have been there with you, but you know what? The metal community is so cool. I went there by myself, talked to a bunch of people, handed out a bunch of my business cards, and you know, once we start talking about the set list, I'm going to tell you a couple of interesting characters that I met for the first time at the Accept show. So,
Okay.
all right. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share very quickly some pictures and the set lists, and we can all talk about them as we go.
Okay.
And here you go. I got everybody to the right there. This was the Bijou. I had to wait like 20 minutes for this to pop back up because of all the shows they had going at the Palladium. Uh,
Hmm.
Again, I was if you're standing on stage, so I was stage left facing the stage. I was literally right on the railing because let me tell you, they made a mad dash to get to that very front. And thank God for the first time in my life, I got there. So it was so cool. This is one picture of Mr. Tornillo, Mr. Hoffman, another picture of Hoffman, another picture of Tornillo. On my night, it was Tim Ripper Owens' birthday. So he came out to jam and sing with the band on Balls to the Wall. So that was very cool.
Nice.
That's
Unfortunately,
cool.
they gave him a dead mic. So he's, sitting there, he's hitting it, nothing. So he just tosses it on the ground. And then, so what Mark did was they started handing Mark's mic back and forth so that he could sing a few bars of Balls to the Wall. So that was really cool. But no birthday cake. This is again Tim jamming with the band. Very cool.
Great shot.
Oh, thank you. So this is KK's Priest. So the last time I saw KK's Priest was back in March. I was on the opposite side. I was on KK's side of the stage. So, but this time I got to see AJ Mills, because he was literally, wait till you see the next shot I get. This is insane. So that's a really nice shot of Ripper. This is a nice shot of Mr. AJ Mills.
Nice.
Very nice.
This I think he's either playing Diamonds and Rust or Surprise, Surprise. They played Before the Dawn. I don't know if they played that in your show, but
They did.
yep.
They did.
And then I was
We didn't get Diamonds and Rust though.
Okay. Well, actually, I might be mistaken, but in about a minute, I'm going to show everybody the set list. So
Right.
There's my picture of KK. Oh, so I did get Diamonds and Rust. Okay.
Wow.
So on my night, you could see what they Accept played: Reckoning, Humanoid, Restless and Wild, Straight Up Jack. So far they played 3 out of 4 from the new album. London Leather Boys, Dying Breed, which I love and I recorded. That's, if I didn't put it up already, I will be putting that up in the next few weeks. Breaker, Princess of the Dawn, which I love. Metal Heart, Teutonic Terror, Fast as a Shark. Did they throw an animated shark or a blow up shark out into the crowd? Okay.
Yes.
They did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Pandemic, which I also love. Balls to the Wall, I can do without it, but it's their big hit, so they played it. They dropped I'm a Rebel, which they had played the previous night in Montreal. As for KK's Priest, it was the same exact show as Montreal. Hellfire Thunderbolt, which I recorded, great song. Strike of the Viper, One More Shot at Glory. Surprisingly, they're all KK's originals so far. Ripper, Reap the Whirlwind, Nightcrawler, Sermons of the Sinner, Burn in Hell, which I recorded. I love Burn in Hell. I was praying he would do more from Jugulator, but I'll settle for the one. Diamonds and Rust, Hell Patrol, Green Manalishi, Before the Dawn, as I mentioned, Breaking the Law, which I could do without, Sinner, which I love, and Raise Your Fists. So before I stop sharing, I'm going to show you a couple of John's pictures. Just a couple. I like your more stage shot of the band, and then your stage shot of the silhouettes of the figures. I guess this is when they first came on stage, or was that Burn in Hell?
I'm trying to remember. I'm not 100% sure when exactly that part of the show was. It just looked like a very cool visual, and I had to
Yeah.
quick snap a picture of it. So,
And of course, I got these 3 guys. Had to get that in there.
Nice.
And this picture of KK, which I guess you were closer to him than I was. So
I zoomed in on that. I zoomed in on that.
okay.
So yeah,
All
I
right.
just zoomed the camera in, but
Okay. So now that I got that out of the way, I will stop sharing and we're going to go around the room everybody can talk about, what they liked about it, what they enjoyed, and so you know what? Toss up. Who wants to go first? Actually, I'll say Davey because you're the Met fan. Go first.
Me,
Yeah.
me first.
Yes.
I was the virgin with Accept. I was the newbie. I think that KK's Priest set list was exactly the same as Pennsylvania, right, guys?
We
With
didn't
the
get Diamonds and Rust.
Yeah, we didn't
Okay.
get diamond. Yeah, no
Other
diamonds
than
and
that,
rust
I
for
think
us.
it was the same, right?
Did they do Breaking the Law a little earlier though? I'm wondering.
Well,
No, towards the end.
Okay.
it was
I
third
think
to
it-
last, I believe.
Yeah, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
And Accept set list was definitely different because we got a song that I recognized. And I don't know that much about Accept. And they went into Midnight Mover at our show. And I said,
Oh,
oh my God,
okay.
I know this song. I like this song.
Okay, that's
So
when you guys got that I didn't get Midnight Mover.
So we got Midnight Mover from Accept, which I was very impressed with.
Okay,
And
cool.
for Accept, I liked their sound. The sound was really good. The drum sound was excellent for Accept. And
Yeah.
I was focusing on the drummer for a lot of the show
Uh,
because Tornillo was just this, he looked like a short little guy screaming on stage.
like another
he was-
Dio.
Sort of, but not as, I mean, Dio's, top tier. Dio's the best. Tornillo was good. And of course, Wolf Hoffman on the stage there, he's the one original member. So he
Right.
stood out. But do they really need 3 guitar players like that?
That's a good question.
I would think so.
I was thinking 3 guitar, but they used to have 2 guitar players back in the 80s, right?
When you listen to a lot of when you really listen to some of the stuff that they record, you can definitely hear there's a lot of tracks going on back there. And
Okay.
sometimes you really need that third guitar sometimes. Sometimes the bass just doesn't cut it enough, and sometimes so that third guitar really adds the beef to it, as it were.
Okay. And speaking of bass, the bass play was really good. And almost all the guys on stage sang. So I liked the backing vocals. And the
Right.
set list was cool. And me being sort of a newbie to the band and not knowing that many songs besides, let's say, I know they did Breaker. At our show, they did Metal Heart, I recognized, Midnight Mover, and then, of course, Balls to the Wall.
Right.
So those were the songs I recognized. There was a song from the new album I really liked, and I remember the song Straight Up Jack, which is funny because that's your name.
Right.
I thought they were really good. I was very impressed with them. I've never seen them. I don't really know that much about them, but the drummer, I think, was the standout, and I was watching him a lot. And then when KK's Priest came on, I did not like the drum sound.
Really?
Yeah, it was very muddy. It was just very flat and I just didn't like the sound of the drums. That affected the set a little bit for me,
Right.
but KK was great and Ripper was awesome. I mean, he's a great singer.
Oh,
I can't deny that. He's not Halford, but he's younger than Halford. He has a great voice. He hits those notes that are just super, super high. And I was expecting, because I remember, Jack, when you saw KK's Priest earlier in the year, I looked up their set list. So I was expecting certain Judas Priest songs, and they totally flipped it for this leg of the tour, which really confused me because I'm waiting for Victim of Changes and all these other songs, and they were doing other Priest songs.
Sinner instead.
They did Sinner, which was great. Totally. I didn't expect that. Before the Dawn, I was
Yeah.
blown away. They did that. I never thought I'd see that live.
Right.
Because the last time I saw
pretty
Priest,
nice.
I saw Priest on the Painkiller tour. So it's been over 30 years
Oh, wow.
since I saw Judas Priest.
Wow. Interesting.
I think I saw them 3 times on that tour. I saw them a bunch of times because KK recognized me. I used to carry these little opera glasses around my neck. I said it on John's show on my music corner when I was on. And KK's the one. He said, I remember you. You have those opera glasses, binoculars. And that's what I cast. So he remembered me.
How did you meet him?
I got backstage. I knew someone at the record label, luckily.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So I remember meeting Halford, and Halford had a grip like iron. And I said this on John's show. His grip was hard as iron, just like the Priest song.
There you go.
And Scott Travis was really tall. I remember that.
Yep.
And they were cool, nice guys. But KK was very friendly. So
Well,
I'm glad I
that's
got to see him again. And his soloing is great, the way he plays. And the song selection was really good. And they did a lot more of their own songs than I thought. I thought it would be a little more Priest than KK's Priest. But I think now they sort of added more of their own songs to the
I
set.
like the mixture this time. Yeah.
So like you said, starting out with 3 songs of their own, they're confident in the material. They've got 2 albums and it's good and it shows. And the way they started out was a big spectacle. I didn't expect a whole stage show like that in a small theater place. By the way, the Sherman Theater in Pennsylvania, it's very nice. Tia and I got seats about maybe a third of the floor was seats all the way on the left side. And then you guys were standing on the right side, which was about 2/3 of the floor. Wow. But it was a nice old theater. I thought the sound was good, except KK's Priest drum sound
so you brought
was just a little muddy for me.
You brought Tia to the show? You brought Tia to the show?
Yes, she was there. She came.
How'd she like it?
She liked it. She's open to new experiences because she's not really a metalhead. She saw Dream Theater with me about 5 years ago before the pandemic, to quote an Accept song title there, which they did, and that was a good song. But
that's one of my favorites, Pandemic.
In 2019, we saw Dream Theater, and now she saw this show. She liked it. She really liked the stage show, too, that KK's Priest had, because they had the whole opening and the voiceover, and it was really good live. And they acquitted themselves well live. I think I like them live better than on the records, except for that drum sound.
Right. You know,
I'm glad I went.
I recorded 3 songs. I'm gonna have to go back and listen just to see. You know, of course, I'm always more preoccupied with the guitar sound. So the drums to me is secondary. I love it, but yeah. So
it was just a little muddy. It was just very flat the way he was hitting the drums, even when they were doing the setup, the sound check. That's it. It just had a very flat sound. It just annoyed me a little, but other than that, the show was great. And I got to meet John and John, so it was a great evening.
All right, very cool. If I had a coin, actually, I'm gonna flip one of the picks. Heads, John on top, Clouser. Tails, John Music Nut. Let's see. Heads, John Clouser.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So yeah. So this was the second time John and I have met to go to a show. Prior to this was Uriah Heep and Saxon, and that was end of April? Around the end of April, something like that.
Yeah. So you might have seen, because I went first week of May, and I think they went to you first. I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when I saw this was coming up to Stroudsburg again, you know, that's an easy drive from where my mom lives in Allentown. So you know, I asked John, I was like, so what do you think about accepting KK? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going. So I was like, yeah, I think that's a good time for me to make another trip home. So we did, and there you go. So it was great getting to hang out for a while before the show, and then of course we met Davey and Tia right as we were ending our evening meal. We got into the thing. We were just kind of looking around, and then all of a sudden we started hearing this music, and we're looking at our watches, and we're like, hey, wait a second, it ain't 8 o'clock yet. Man, they were starting like 7:53 or something like that.
Exactly 7:53. They did start early.
Yeah, they started well. Yeah.
Oh wow! So that was not an unusual occurrence, but yeah, no, man, they started right in. Yeah, the differences in the set. Instead of London Leather Boys, we had Midnight Mover. Instead of Dying Breed, we had Breaker.
Oh, okay.
And then they did the Riff Orgy, what they call that, and that's like the medley of Demon's Night, Starlight, Losers and Winners, and Flash Rockin' Man.
Oh, okay.
So we got that, and then of course Princess of the Dawn, Metal Heart, Teutonic Terror, Fast as a Shark, Pandemic, Balls to the Wall. Beginning of the set, of course, Reckoning, Humanoid, Restless and Wild, and Straight Up Jack. So yeah, great set. I really thought I've been a little critical about Tornillo's voice, that when I hear him on some of the studio stuff, he just sounds like he's just trying to, he's trying too hard to sound like Udo, but he sounds a little constipated while he's doing it. And so I was really struggling to listen to some of his era, but I liked Humanoid. That didn't sound that it didn't sound quite so tight and squeezed. So I was digging him. I'm hoping to go back and as I'm going through the Accept series to reacquaint myself with those later albums. But um, he sounded good. He sounded great. Chris Williams on drums was Peter Jones warned us about him, and oh my goodness gracious, boy, he did not disappoint. Um, I thought having the three guitars was great. Wolf looked like he was just having a great time up there.
Oh, yeah.
He looked like he was just as happy as could be. He was, it seemed like he was happy with how the show was going. He seemed happy with the sound and everything. Yeah, he was probably playing a lot more of the solos than the other two guys, but I think everybody got their little bits. I think it was on Fast as a Shark. I think it was when the three of them got up there and they were all harmonizing, which was like awesome. um, but yeah, it's a shame that they had to pull out that blow up shark out because that was getting a little distracting.
I didn't let it bother me, but
Well, you were closer to the front, but
yeah,
we were standing a little further back, so you had to keep your head on a swivel to make sure.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, no, it was fine. I didn't have a problem with that really. It was just a absolute great time. You know, only the second time I've ever gotten to see Accept. The first time was back in on the Power Slave tour for Iron Maiden. So I saw him on the Metal Heart tour. But back at that tour, the only thing they did was just stuff from Balls to the Wall and Metal Heart. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything earlier than that from, let's say, like Restless and Wild or whatever. So, but I also got to say I saw Udo and Wolf
Right.
and Stefan and Peter and
Herman.
Jorg, or Herman, right? It was Herman.
You're right.
Right. Yeah. One of the other two guys. But no, I thought having the three guitar players was a nice compliment to each other, added to the set quite nicely. I just thought it was a great, and it sounded good. You know, it really did sound good from where I was and from where we were sitting, standing, I should say. So
How far back were you guys?
About half, for Accept, we were not even halfway back.
Okay.
And then we went further back for KK's Priest.
Okay.
yeah.
All
Yeah, we
right.
went a little further back because here's the thing about so of course then the show we get the break and then we go back to Davey and Tia and hang out with them for a few minutes. I cut a quick promo saying yeah, Accept just kicked our ass and stuff like that, and which they did because it really was a great show. But then yeah, KK, we just decided to stand back a little bit. The bad part about the Sherman and the way they had the stage set up was, unfortunately, the drummer's like right in front of the big screen.
Right. Yes.
So you're thank goodness for the side screens because you could at least see that. But
I couldn't because I was off to the side, but
yeah. But having the drummer and the drum riser in the way kind of took away from the big screen animation thing that was going on in the back.
Right.
I don't know if that was if you had that problem at your show, but
I didn't see it at all where I was standing. I barely saw the words Accept from where.
Oh,
but I got those great pictures of the guys because it's like you're almost on the stage with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, and like I said, KK comes on board and on stage, and I'll tell you, yeah, the I can I see what Davey's talking about with the drums a little bit, but the problem that I was encountering is AJ's guitar was feeding back quite a bit. I think it was AJ's. I don't think it was KK's, but somebody's instrument was feeding back quite a bit. They were having some sound issues with that, but Ripper, Ripper sounded amazing.
Oh, he did.
Um,
Insane.
Absolutely amazing. Having never seen Priest, and I don't know if I will get the chance to see him. Obviously, this next leg of the tour seems to be going toward the Northwest,
Right.
so probably not going to see him on this tour if they do come back around. But still, that's probably about as close to Judas Priest I'll probably ever get to see. So hearing them getting to do like, Breaking the Law, Green Man Alishi, Sinner. Sinner was a great song to hear. I always love Sinner. Loved hearing Ripper saying, "What's my name?" I love that. I love that from
Yes.
the live album from '98.
Right.
Before the Dawn, I thought was a wonderful surprise.
Yes.
So we'll take that. I was kind of hoping for Diamonds and Rust, especially like the way the Ripper was doing it with them. It was a different feel than how Rob did it,
Did you get
and
something in its place, or did they just cut the song?
I think they just cut it out completely.
Oh,
They
that's
did.
a shame. Yeah.
But
They did it similar to the way Priest did it back in 2005, where they go acoustic to electric. But actually, they didn't use an acoustic guitar. Instead, KK just played the early parts clean, is what he
right,
did.
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, and then of course the KK stuff I thought was those songs are really very bludgeoning, I will say. They're very intense songs, but they're very good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very good album. Of course, you get Burn in Hell, you get Nightcrawler. Um, I really was impressed. I wasn't really sure what to expect with KK, but I thought he sounded fantastic.
Awesome.
So
Okay. Very cool. John, music nut. So before you start, let's stand up and show our t-shirts, you and I. Oops.
he
There you
disappears.
go.
Yeah, and this is from this is from Too Mean to
Oh,
Die,
nice. Oh, okay. Yeah. I originally wanted
2021 album.
Restless and Wild, but what happened was they only had like smalls and mediums, and the last time I went to see Accept, I bought a t-shirt and I was considerably heavier than I am now. I ended up throwing the t-shirt in the garbage because it was a European large and it didn't fit me. So
Oof.
I made sure I got the right size. So this is XL and it fits very comfortably. I probably could have fit a large, but why take a chance at $40 a t-shirt? You know? So,
Exactly.
all right, John, go ahead.
Thanks. So, yeah, I echo the sentiments of Davey and John here. It was an excellent show. The sound there, excuse me, the sound there was very good. I've seen a lot of heavy metal shows there. I've seen maybe 30, 35 shows at the Sherman because it's only an hour and 10 minutes away from me.
Oh,
And this was definitely one of the better ones that I've seen there. Maybe the best one as far as a heavy metal show.
nice.
But of the 3 times I've seen Accept, and I've loved Accept since Balls to the Wall, but I never saw them until 2021. And when I saw them in 2021, it was their first show in 19 months because we were coming out of COVID.
Right.
And that night they were good, but they weren't that tight. They weren't that tight yet because you heard a few mistakes, particularly on the song The Undertaker was the first time they did that song live.
Oh, that would
So,
have been cool. I like that too.
yeah, they hit Too Mean to Die pretty hard that night. I think they did like 5 tracks from it.
Wow.
Yeah, but that night, I mean, they were just, they were just getting their bearings back after a long break. And when I saw him in 2022, it was when Mark Tornillo was sick for a few days. So Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys and Broken Teeth and other bands filled in. And he did a good job, but he didn't know the lyrics to the new song, so he was reading them from a paper taped to the floor, but he had the old stuff nailed down. So that night, because word got out that Jason wasn't going to sing, they had a very low crowd that night.
Uh-huh.
They only had 200 people there. This night, they had a pretty good crowd. It was about what I expected. I'm gonna say they had 700 maybe, and I think they hold around 12 or so. But yeah, except we're on fire. They sounded really good. I knew what the set list. I had an idea going in. I knew what the new songs were going to be. I didn't know we were going to get Breaker, but when we got that, yeah, that was pretty impressive. Mark sounded great. And they flew through that set list.
Yeah.
They did not mess around. They did not talk to the crowd. They just went one after another. It was almost like the Ramones. They were just banging them out. And they were really tight. By far the best I've seen them in the 3 times I've seen them in 3 years. But they sounded very strong. You definitely got the vibe that they were like the special guest, though, and not a co-headline, because their logo was a lot smaller. They had these 2 TV screens, one on each side of the screen, and it just said accept on it. Where Christopher Williams was sitting, he was sitting right in front of the accept logo. And yes, Christopher Williams, their drummer, beast. I was saying to John, oh my God, Pete's buddy only. Holy shit, he's killing it out there. He was a machine. But they were so tight. As far as the set list, yeah, like I said, it was kind of what I expected. One minor quibble for me, and I say this about any band that does this, is I'm not a fan of medleys.
Right.
I
To
agree.
their credit, and John pointed us out while we were watching the show, they did pretty much all Starlight during the medley.
Right.
But I prefer that you do 2 full songs into a 4-song medley.
Right.
So, but the way they did the medley was good in the fact that they would still play most of the song anyway. So that was a plus, and that's why you're getting 5 songs from Restless and Wild on this tour, because you're getting 2 of them in a medley. The crowd was eating up all the songs, though, because everything was new album, 2 from Blood and Nations, and then it was Metal Heart Back. We didn't get I'm a Rebel, but I know they've been playing on some songs, not others.
Right.
On Starlight, one thing I did notice, they played those Udo songs the way they did them with Udo, except for Starlight. Mark Turnillo, 70 years old. He's not going to hit those notes. Those notes on Starlight when Udo sings. I was curious going in. It was in my head. Is he going to hit that note during the chorus? They didn't. They sang it in a lower key, which was probably the best thing. But I mean, it was still heavy. It still sounded great. Other than that, it worked like a charm. I knew they'd do Pandemic. They only started doing Pandemic after we went through one. That wasn't something they were playing in the 2010s.
Really? Oh,
No, they didn't play
that
it.
was the second time I saw it, and I've seen them 4 times.
Okay. Yeah, in the 2010s, I don't think they were playing that one live. It was only we went through a pandemic. And I remember the first time when I saw them in 2021, and before they came out the pandemic, Mark said a few things about the pandemic and what he thought of the pandemic and the restrictions we were going through. Mark wasn't a happy camper.
None of us were.
Exactly. As John was saying, the inflatable shark, we got that through fast as a shark, but it was bouncing around the rest of the set. I figured that would just go back up on stage, but oh no. And our friend Nick Esquire saw them at Mickey's Black Box in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, 2 nights before. They didn't bring out the shark that night.
Oh no. Oh.
No, they didn't bring. Yeah, because I asked him. I sent him a text in between sets, and he goes, "No, we didn't. No, that wasn't happening." And he goes, "The crowd was pretty tame because it was a weeknight." I go, "The crowd here's been pretty crazy tonight." You know, the crowd was pretty rabid. They were really into it. Metal crowds there. Maybe they don't always get the biggest crowds for metal shows, but they're all really enthusiastic and very loyal and dedicated. I mean, the crowd really brought it. Stroudsburg is kind of a metal town and a old school punk town too. So they sound.
Hey, tell them about those fans that were sitting up on the one balcony.
Oh, the girl.
So if we're looking stage right, there's a woman. Well, there's about 6 or 8 people, and they are so into it. And some of them are around our age, maybe a little older, and they were. And I was saying to John, I go, yeah, they're fans. They're really into it. When you look on the other side, there was an older couple sitting in a balcony, and it was like they were watching a play. They they were very mellow and tranquil, like
Oh, good Lord.
enjoyed it, but it was almost like, oh, we got free tickets. Let's go to a show, right?
Right. Yeah.
But they were enjoying it a different way. The woman on the right had very long hair, and she was letting that hair go when she was headbanging.
Yep.
And like just like John's doing, but her hair was like it would have been
Rapunzel.
almost it would have been down almost to her butt, right?
Oh, wow.
And the way she was kneeling over the balcony, it looked like she was gonna fall.
Oh, wow.
Turned out she's a buddy of Ripper's
Oh, that's
because
fun.
Ripper said it during the set, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we get like a 35-minute intermission. Just to let you know about one thing that was a little weird there is they sold Accepts and KK's Priest merch in 2 different places in the hallway, which they normally don't do. They usually keep them all together. It was
They
kind
did
of
it
hard
this
to get
show.
Accepts merch because it was right near where the bar is and where the restrooms are. So it was very crowded in there. So you kind of had to fight to get Accepts merch, which KK's Priest merch, yeah, a lot more room.
Right.
They had a decent amount of a lot more t-shirts for Accept than you normally see. The first time I saw Accept, they just made a t-shirt, right? No tour dates on it. They only had one shirt they were selling that night. But this night they were selling 2 Mean to Die shirts and shirts from previous albums and a lot of vinyl and all that. Anyway, so we get KK's Priest. Now this time we go a little farther back in the crowd. You could tell that KK was the headliner in the fact that they had the big video before they came on and all introducing you to all the guys in the band. They had smoke. They had crazy light shows. The 2 screens I was talking about had live shots as the band was playing or parts of the video screen that was playing behind them. And it was a pretty impressive setup. Ripper sounded fantastic, no doubt about it. The new songs, they sound much better live, and yes, more intense live, no doubt about it. I mean, they really kicked our butts. I mean, even if I didn't know the albums, and I own the albums, I think they're good, not great, but they sounded really impressive live. But Ripper said a few interesting things during the show. It was more like a rock show, like I was saying, except with just bang, bang, bang with all the songs. He would slow things down, go, how you guys doing? And try to get the crowds to one side of the crowd to cheer louder than the other, like an old-time rock show. Two things he said. One was they never did Before the Dawn with Rob and Judas Priest.
No.
And
They had.
yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, they didn't. And then I thought about when we were doing a pre-series earlier this year, John and I on my music corner. He asked KK, I always wanted to sing this live, and KK obliged, so that's why they've been doing it. And the number 2 was they weren't doing Sinner on the earlier leg this year. So he said, we got to do Sinner. I mean, he kind of talked KK into that too, because those are KK's leads in Sinner. The version of Sinner, monumental. They just let KK go, and he killed us.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
to the point where he was doing his solo, they walked off stage, and then Ripper comes back out and starts a big KK chant, and it was loud.
That's cool.
It was very loud. KK is in great shape for 73.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he was up there headbanging like he was in the 80s. When I saw that, I'm like, dude, oh my God, dude, you're gonna be all right, because he was headbanging the way he used to, and I'm thinking,
Well, he had about a 10-year break, I guess, right? Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
maybe the break did him good. I mean, he looked like a rock star,
Oh,
and
without a doubt.
they sounded great. I agree, the drums, they were a little muddy under the guitars and all that. And to KK's credit, he gives AJ. AJ plays a lot of leads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
that's
think
a
BJ
lot about
plays
KK.
some of the leads that KK can't play or can't
Right.
play anymore.
Mm. So yeah, so they really put on a great show. And I was thinking about going to see him in February down to Jersey, but I was like, oh, I'll catch him again because the weather wasn't so great. But when this came up, I was like, oh, no, with my favorite heavy metal band, of course I'm gonna go.
Oh, you should have come down. It was me and the SOT guys were at that show.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Nice.
Pete Pardo was there, Rich Gattino was there. I think Pete's brother, Rich Pardo, was there. A few others. It was really cool. And on that show, they played Victim of Changes instead of Sinner, and KK saved all his best shredding for Victim of Changes, kind of like he did with Sinner. So that was the one change. But also, I was telling this guy standing next to me that they did Beyond the Realms of Death the first time around. That was really cool. And
Oh,
you
sweet.
mentioned AJ Mills. He killed it in that song. Absolutely killed it. Note for note of Tipton's, what Tipton would play.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but both bands did an outstanding job. It was a great show. It was great to see John again. Great to meet Davey. We all had a great time. Yeah, so it was excellent. And one more another thing, I was glad they put in Burn in Hell from the Ripper era.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see them put another, if they come back out, do one from Demolition, do one from Jugulator, because
Toward the end and being in the front, and you saw that close-up picture that I had of Ripper. I started yelling, "Cathedral Spires!"
oh yeah,
hoping he'd hear me, but yeah,
song he's never done live
no.
in the Priest band. I don't
It's
know
a
about a
shame. I
solo
would have
band.
loved it. I would have went nuts. Would have
Oh
been
my gosh, yeah,
Oh,
But,
or one on one.
one
You
on
imagine, you
one.
imagine they pulled that out. Oh my God,
uh,
I'd have gone nuts. But
even the
you
title
know,
track, Jugulator, would have been cool. Yeah.
Oh God, Hell is Home, Dead Meat.
Hell is Home. Oh,
It would have been great.
yeah. John made an interesting point to me after the show about breaking the law.
Yes.
Go
What,
ahead.
When
we shouldn't do it anymore?
well, I've seen Judas Priest 4 times.
Yeah.
I think, and the first time I saw him was on the Ram It Down tour. I think Judas Priest plays Breaking the Law too fast.
Hmm. Maybe they
It
want to
loses
just get
its
through it.
menace. I'm sorry?
Maybe they just want to get through it. Get it done.
But even back in the day, I think, even like in the 80s, they did, I thought. And it loses something when you play it too fast. If you play it more like the studio version, which is, it's it's a little slower, it's more menacing, and it's more convincing, I think, if you play it in the speed that it was on British Steel. And that's what KK's Priest does.
Right.
It's heavier when it's at its regular speed. When you're playing it faster, I think it loses something. Not that they didn't do it bad. It's just I would prefer them to do it at the same speed. They did all the other songs at the same speed,
Right.
at the same tempo.
Yeah.
But
That was
breaking,
one of KK's biggest complaints, that Priest was slowing things down too much. So
well, they slowed, yeah, but they always seem to play Breaking the Law fast. It was weird.
yeah.
It was Priest did. So yeah, I don't know. There's an inconsistency there, but yeah. So yeah, very very good show. We all had a great time. It was
Awesome. Okay, so in the last few minutes, I'll just talk. So I showed everybody the pictures already. I'll just talk about my show. So I saw him at the Palladium, New York City, which used to be called the Best Buy Theater, right on Broadway, 44th and Broadway. great place to see a show. And as I mentioned, I had to make a beeline in to get one of those one of those front spots. And Davey knows this. I have diabetes, so thankfully it's controlled very well with medication. So I was able to keep that spot the whole night. I did not have to go to the bathroom and risk losing my spot. So that was great. So at the end of Accept, I caught these. If everybody can see them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
One is a Wolf Hoffman, and the other one is Uwe Lulis. Yeah.
Holy Lewis.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they were tossing. Yeah, well, actually, what happened was they tossed one. It went to the ground. The security guy picked it up and handed it to me. The second wave of picks, I caught one. So always wanted to catch one in my lifetime. So there you go.
Nice.
Good work.
Yeah. So favorite songs for me from the Accept. By the way, Davey, the Mets did win 8-4. Yes. One down, one to go. Favorite songs for me. I think Balls to the Wall was the first Accept album that I bought, and I love London Leather Boys. That's actually my favorite song of the album. That and Turn Me On, which they did not play. Princess of the Dawn, I love that. Metal Heart, Teutonic Terror. I think that song, the first time I heard it on XM radio, Ozzy's Boneyard, prompted me to go out and get Blood of the Nations, and I absolutely fell in love with that album. That's one of my Desert Island discs. So just so you guys know. Fast as a Shark I love, and Pandemic. So set list of KKs. What's nice is, I saw 2 shows. So I got to see a couple from the last time that he didn't bring back this time. Beyond the Realms of Death, Victim of Changes, which I don't need to hear that all the time. Ripper, they played both times. Reap the Whirlwind both times. Burn in Hell, like I said, I would have loved another song from Jugulator, but you know what? It was cool. I just loved it. That's another Desert Island disc for me. I love it so. Diamonds and Rust was great. Before the Dawn, and Sinner, of course. So my story. So I was in the front row. I had gone to the show myself, of course. Couldn't convince anybody else to join me in dreary old Manhattan, which for me, by the way, it's a 50-minute train ride from mid-Nassau County, which, I enjoy the train ride. I put my headphones in and listen to my music and, get myself psyched up for the show. But so what was I going? Oh, so guy just to my right, just met him for the first time. He was a big fan, and we were talking and we hit it off. His name is Doug. So if you're watching, Doug, awesome. Nice to meet you, buddy. We're actually talking about meeting up for the what is it, Wasp and Armored Saint coming up in mid-November at another small auditorium in Manhattan called the Hammerstein Ballroom. If you're interested, Davey, say the word. But we'll talk off camera. So then we're watching the show, and I recorded a few songs, and I don't record these songs to try and make any profit. I just want to share the good time that I'm having with everybody, the metal population out there. So I got 3 songs of KK and 3 songs of Accept. And this woman, young woman, sidled up right in between Doug and I, and she's like not there 5 minutes. She's like, "Oh, could you put your camera down? Oh, you're in my way." I'm like, "Excuse me, I was here first. I'm the one who waited outside the door for 2 hours to be one of the first ones in, and you're telling me to put my camera down? Go away. So then we made nice, and then she's talking to the security guy, and I guess she was trying to use her good look. She's like, "Oh, could I meet some of the band?" And I don't know what it is, these men, they just fool for the loving. So next thing you know, he gives her one of these, "Come with me," and she actually got to meet Mark Tornillo and Wolf Hoffman. Yeah, unbelievable. So, and she's showing us on her phone. So, whatever.
I guess you could say she was living for tonight.
Yeah, maybe she was living for tonight. But the funny thing is, she had a boyfriend there with her.
Oh, jeez.
And he was I'm saying to this guy, Doug, I'm like, how the hell does he put up with her? I'd have given the heave-ho. She's like, flirt with everybody, flirting with me, flirting with Doug, flirting with the attendants, the security guys. And he's just like 2-3 people back, just enjoying the show and letting her have her moment. I'm like, what a world. Thank God I came to the show without my significant other, because I wouldn't be putting up with that crap. Yeah, so that's all she wrote. So this has been another episode of Concerts Remembered. I like to do them all a little different, and hopefully, you know what, this one was a little different because, like I said, only a couple of weeks back in the time machine. Whereas I've talked about shows going back to like 79 and 81 and 82. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and there's definitely going to be more where that came from. So, imagine this. So you got 2 Met fans and 2 Philly fans here.
Yep.
Only one game separates us now. Yeah, that we could face each other. But
Oh boy.
yeah. So yeah, reminds me. Anybody watch Family Guy?
I used to.
Going, put him up, something like that, and then the woman gives him one of these, and he goes down like a stone.
Good old Peter.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I personally, for me, I mean, this was just a nice reunion of the 3 of us who got to see the show together. So
Right.
this was always a good thing. So
Well, when I saw that you guys were going to go together, that's when I came up with the idea. Why don't I parlay it into a Concerts Remembered episode of KK's Priest and Accept? And you know what? This has turned out great so far. So I thank
absolutely.
you all for coming. And
Thank you.
before I say goodnight, I'd like to ask John and John, how's it going with your Accept series that you have going on?
Well, the next episode comes out October 2nd. That's with that was we just did Balls to the Wall. We recorded that one. So so far so good. So that's been taking off nicely. So we'll see how this one see what people think about this episode, and then we got, of course, Metal. We'll record Metal Heart over the weekend.
Okay.
So we'll do one. We're doing the one album at a time with a different person for every album. So
Right.
that's been a blessing. So
I
that's
was like lucky that I was able to get in on one of those. I won't say which one, but
yep.
if
I
you
can guess. I can
We-
guess which album.
I think
yeah, it wasn't the one I really wanted, but it was another which has some really poignant songs that I love on it. So I
Okay.
am
it's Eat the Heat. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
wasn't that like their worst album? Yeah,
Who knows? It depends on who you talk to, I guess.
right.
So,
Is that the one with the singer named David Reese on
yes.
it? Okay.
Yes. When they try to go LA.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, so far so good with it. So yeah. So tune in Wednesday nights, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, and for those in different parts of the world, I can't help you there because I don't know. I can't ever keep the times straight. So there you go.
Okay.
Well,
very
I do
cool.
know Australia's 14 hours ahead. At least the
Okay.
East Coast of Australia.
Right.
And I think Norway's about 7 or 8. So yeah.
Right. So
So
Davey, what do you have going on? Anything?
My two most recent videos on Cretin Classics, I finally got my Blue Oyster Cult album ranking show up, which is doing pretty well. And I just put up last week my review of the latest Deep Purple studio album, Deep Purple Equal One.
Yep, I saw
And
that.
thanks. And hopefully this weekend, Tia will be making a debut on my channel. We're going to rank the albums of, I'm not going to say it right now, but she and I did an album ranking that's coming up very soon.
Okay, I can't wait to see it.
Tia is awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Very cool. So last night I recorded an episode with Rick Labonte. Anybody know him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He
From
just
Sea of Tranquility.
Yep,
Yes.
he just released a music video single called "Born Ready."
It's a good song.
He actually has Derek Sherinian as a guest keyboardist on that song. It's very
nice.
impressive. Yeah. So I think we had a really good discussion. We spent about 40 minutes. So by the time this episode airs, that will have already aired maybe a couple of days ago. So please go back and check it out and give Rick some love. And I thank everybody very much. So
And don't forget John the Music Nut. He's got a little channel of his own now.
oh, well, I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up. John, what do you got?
Okay, well, it's Smithereen Saturday. The series is still going on right now. I got 3 more episodes. The next one will be on their 2011 album called 2011. So those I put out on Saturday mornings, and then starting Thursday, October 3rd, I'm going to start a weekly series on Thin Lizzy. I'm going to call it Thin Lizzy Thursday.
Oh,
And I'm going to be doing the self-titled debut album on Thursday, October 3rd. And then I'm going to keep that going through the rest of the year. And I'm going to focus on all the studio albums. And then I'll do a rank at the end. I'll talk a little bit about Live and Dangerous and Life Live as well.
oh, that's
There you
cool.
go.
Hey, I got a picture with the Phil Lynott statue in Dublin last September when I went. So
I've seen it.
Very
I
cool.
have a goal of doing that someday. I'm glad that you got to do that, Jack.
yeah, it was very cool. I mean, plus so many other things I got to do in the Emerald Isle, which I absolutely love. What a beautiful enchanted place. So
Yeah, those were great videos that you were putting up.
oh, thank you. I'm glad you saw them. Awesome.
Oh yeah, I watched them. Absolutely.
Okay, very cool.
Too.
All right. Okay, so if unless anybody has anything else, I will say good night. Thank you for watching Concerts Remembered. Please check out all my other Concerts Remembered. This is all in a playlist, so check them out and keep coming back for more. Jack Toledano speaking for John Clauser, John Music Nut, Davey Cretin. Have a good one all.
Bye-bye.
Good
Bye.
night.